Good morning, everybody. Here we continue on with our Bechol Dervador Maamar for Pesach. Yesterday we finished Ice Dalid, which was so incredibly powerful and beautiful. It spoke about our levels, not levels per se, but our ability, and we finished off with the idea that we actually, being that this is said in a Maamar for our generation, it means this level of love, this level of relationship with Hashem is actually relevant to us. Like every single person in our generation has that ability to really love Hashem in such a deep and beautiful way. And we told the story of the Alter Rebbe that, as the Tzemach Tzedek explains, that Alter Rebbe would be heard saying, which means it wasn't just once, it was several times, I do not want anything, I do not want your Gan Eden, I do not want your Olam Haba, and all I want is you yourself. And then we analyzed it, and we explained that even to the level that Gan Eden is beautiful, and it's such a pleasurable place for a neshama to be, and Olam Haba is such a beautiful and pleasurable place for the neshama to be. And even more so, even if we take the moment and say, okay, this is not even just, oh, wow, I get to go to a personal neshama spa and I'm enjoying the experience. But even if it's like, oh, it's the Eibishter's spa, it's the Eibishter's, even if we realize it's all from the Eibishter and it's the Eibishter's Gan Eden and Olam Haba, we still need to continue forward in our path to get straight to Hashem. Or so too, that's what the Alter Rebbe said, that he just wants Hashem, and not just Hashem for what we know of him, but Hashem himself, Hashem, you yourself, which means Hashem in the essence of who he is. And I spoke about how we can relate to this, and again, this is a lahavdil in a certain sense, but everything the Eibishter created us in his image, and so therefore we have things that we can relate to ish in relationship to so we can understand, so we can relate to it in the sense of a spouse, that yes, we technically gain a lot by being married. And actually everybody on right now listening who is single, this is something to prepare yourself for, because I've noticed, and I deal with shidduchim a lot, that I've noticed that there might be a time, or there might be a situation where people want to get married just to get out of the singlehood. They want to not be single anymore, and so therefore they want to get married. But in reality, we have to realize that we have to be able to open ourselves up for such a deep love, that we can love not just the fact that we have a spouse, not just the fact that we are married, not just the fact that now I have a fancy ring on my finger, not just the fact that now I have companionship and tax deductions and all these things. But marriage is really about giving yourself over and loving someone so deeply that you love them for who they are. Not for what they do for you, not for how they make you feel, not I feel loved because of that person, but because of who they are. And we need to appreciate and become more sensitive to that, and constantly work on that in our relationship with Hashem, and so too in our relationship, whether it's a current relationship with a spouse or a working relationship, hopefully soon to be a relationship with a future spouse. And the way we do this is by practicing that with those around us. So, for example, Baruch Hashem, Living Chassidus creates a very warm and loving atmosphere, and we're very giving, and we take good care of each other, at least in my opinion, and we become kind of like a family. And so we have to foster that relationship. We have to foster those types of relationships where we do create this love between each other. And that's what helps us practice and helps us get ready for our ultimate marriage, both with our husbands and also ultimate marriage with the Eibishter himself. So again, we need to work on being sensitive and being loving and being caring and loving that person, not for what they give you, but loving that person for who they are by themselves, like who they are. And we do this daily, and we have to be conscious of this. It's one of the things it's the minimum in our kavanah. We have to be conscious, and when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we need to have that consciousness of having that bond, that oneness, that relationship with Hashem, that we're willing to give. We're willing, and again, it doesn't mean to ser nefesh nowadays. At least we're not we're not dealing with a Haman that's like trying to kill us per se, or But the reality is that we are dealing with, as Leivik always, we just had a recent conversation when we were talking about Pare. What's this whole deal with like Pare and the Yitzhahara, and it was so beautiful how he said it, because my husband was saying like we have to get rid of Pare, and Leivik said no, like Abba, we have to turn him over. So too here, having Mesiras Nefesh for the Eibishter now isn't getting rid of, whatever. Having the Mesiras Nefesh for the Eibishter now isn't actually literally dying. I mean, I hope we don't reach that level. Mitzvah Mashiach is coming right now as we teach the shir. But what it does mean is fighting against Yetzirah and giving your full koiches to beat that Yetzirah. Giving yourself over. I'm gonna give myself over whether my Yetzirah tells me I want it or I don't want it or whatever. I'm gonna have Mesiras Nefesh to do the right thing. So kol hakavod, everybody who logged in this morning, you're having Mesiras Nefesh against your sleep, against your desire to sleep, and now you're here. Okay. Okay, so now we caught up, and now we're going to continue on with Ice Hay. It's okay. Let's do this. We're on page 52, and it begins with the title header, Shema, a spiritual journey. We can now understand the spiritual aspect of Yetzias Mitzrayim as it takes place when reciting the Shema. Before reciting the Shema, we're still subject to restrictions and limitations as they exist in the realm of holiness. Even after reciting all of the prayers until that point, including the blessings preceding the Shema, we have still not achieved the level of fulfilling the will of Hashem, right? Remember we said that the Maggid of Mezrich said that as long as you, one second, what was the quote the Maggid gave? That when we say when we reach the point of all your might, that we push ourselves in all these three ways. We give our intellect. We work hard towards thinking about the Eibishter. We work hard towards having warm feelings and awe and love for the Eibishter. And we even go beyond our limitations to connect to the Eibishter. And so therefore, we've reached the level of fulfilling the will of Hashem. So when we do all these three, or we work towards doing all these three, we're fulfilling the will of Hashem. Okay, so that's what we said earlier. So even if we do a full davening, and we get all the way to the point of the brachas before Shema, we still haven't fully finished it. We still haven't finished fully doing all three levels. And we have not yet sacrificed our lives for Hashem, at least conceptually, when saying the first pasuk of the Shema, right? Because the first pasuk we have to have in mind to have Mesiras Nefesh. So for example, and I did a davening class a few years ago. It must have been like maybe 2-3 years ago, where we went through all the different levels of davening, and in reality, the Sukkah de Zimra is working on our emotions. It's all about reminding ourselves how the Eibishter is in the mountains, and the Eibishter does this, and the Eibishter blesses, and don't trust anyone other than Hashem, because they don't have the answer. Hashem has all the answers. It's really like, it's funny because a lot of people, somebody once asked me like, oh, do you guys meditate? Meaning like Jews. Do Jews meditate? And I said, we at least meditate once, if not twice a day. And for men, they have to meditate 3 times a day. We just have to make that conscious effort to think about what we're saying. But really, it's a long, long meditation on our relationship and our connection with the Eibishter. So here we've worked through Pesach de Zimra, we've worked through all of our davening, we've reached the point of connection, we've reached the point of feeling, hopefully, if we actually think about what we're saying, feeling a level of warmth, feeling a level of being cared for in Hashem's hands. And then we reach this point of the brachas before Shema, and we reach the point of Shema, we've worked on our intellect because we've been thinking about our words of davening. We worked on our emotions because now we feel a connection to Hashem and say, wow, Hashem, thank you so much for everything you do for us. And not only that, but we actually now are working, and we're about to get to this point of Mesiras Nefesh, which is the third level, which is with V'chol Me'adcha, which is all your might, which again, we said it's serving Hashem limitlessly, we're pushing ourselves beyond our boundaries. So now that we reach the Shema, it is only upon reciting the first pasuk of the Shema that we leave all restrictions and limitations in our dedication for Hashem and His Torah and mitzvahs. Jewish law stipulates that this verse be recited with intent, with kavanah. Furthermore, through having intent, when saying this pasuk, one fulfills the basic obligation to have kavanah as it applies to the entire davening of Shema, right? So as long as, according to halacha, we are meant to, every single time we say the Shema, we are meant to have this kavanah. We're meant to have a kavanah that we're giving ourselves up and we're having Mesiras Nefesh for Hashem. And again, Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean killing yourself. It has Mesiras Nefesh means pushing yourself beyond your limitations. Mesiras Nefesh is way beyond our limitations. Today, when we say the Shema, we're going to push ourselves beyond our limitations. And being that we said it with the first pasuk, it actually counts as if we had the full kavanah for the entire recitation of the Shema. As a result, although we're in a state of spiritual sleep, right? Anybody that's learned the Balaylahu, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Maamar. It's one of my favorite Maamarim on Purim. So this concept of that in Galus, we're not awake. It's as if things are just working in a backwards way. As we said yesterday in the David HaMelech bemoans the fact that in Galus, somebody who does the wrong thing could get such positive treatment from the Eibishter, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And when Geula happens, when Mashiach comes, suddenly what's right is going to be right and what's wrong is going to be wrong, and everything's going to have clarity. But right now we're in this like schluffy mode that, you know, in our dreams, elephants can fly and like all these kinds of funky things can happen in our dreams. And so too in Gullus, all these kinds of funky things, such as, you know, insanity with this coronavirus is happening because we're in this like sleep state. Okay, let me start again. As a result, although we are in a state of spiritual sleep in exile, our heart is awake and throughout the day for Hashem. Our heart is awake throughout the day for Hashem and His Torah and mitzvahs. Fulfilling the Torah and His precepts is in an unlimited manner, right? So as long as we switch, and we're about to say that, but as long as we switch we like take that conscious moment and say, oh wow, when I say the Shema, I'm waking myself up from the sleep, from this reality, from this, or lack of reality of Gullus, and I'm going to be consciously living with the fact that the Eibishter is true, and the Eibishter is everything. The Eibishter creates everything, and through that we're able to live with this consciousness all day long. Hopefully, we're working on that. That's our goal. And not only that, but we're able to live with, give ourselves up and really put our heart and our soul towards Hashem, His Torah, and His mitzvahs. And we do this with an unlimited manner. We push ourselves forward. This is what it means to love Hashem with all your might, to break through all barriers in our service for Hashem. Although our conduct is not truly unlimited, we are still serving Hashem in an unlimited manner within the framework of our reality. Let me see if there's a... Okay, let me read that footnote 85. No mortal being can experience a truly unlimited love of Hashem. However, since we have succeeded in breaking through our personal limitations, our love for Hashem is still viewed as unlimited. This is hinted to in the wording of the pasuk, with all your might. The word might refers to an unlimited love, see above. This indicates that what defines the love as unlimited is not whether it is unlimited in its own right, but whether it's unlimited compared to our personal boundaries, right? So very, very important footnote right there. It doesn't mean you have to go crazy. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, lose your mind. I don't know how to explain it, but you still, okay, with all your might, the word your means that it's in a level in comparison to you. You have to push yourself beyond your limitations. It's possible your limitations are different than somebody, not possible, it's absolutely that your limitations are different than somebody else, but as long as you push yourself, that's your might, right? So you don't have to actually literally chas v'shalom kill yourself, have like real physical mysterious nefesh for the Eivishter. It means you have to push yourself beyond your personal limitations, and that's what it means, your might, okay? In simple terms, we turn the page 56. In simple terms, all limitations are abolished, both in regards to how much we give to tzedakah, how much Torah we learn, we study, and how much effort we put into our prayers. This causes the restrictions and limitations of the world to be abolished as well. As a result, Hashem gives us our livelihood from His plentiful, open, holy, and abundant hand in an unrestricted manner. We then proceed to use this abundance in the manner phrased by the Alter Rebbe Reb Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Hashem gives us material bounty, and we transform the material into spirituality. So let's bring this out for a minute. Okay, now officially as of now we finished. Hey, mazel tov everybody. But let's bring this out for a minute. Okay. So we said we have to push ourselves. It's not all your might, meaning go crazy. It means me, Michal, right here, right now. How can I push myself a step further? How can I push myself really, really push a bit harder today? And again, it doesn't mean be crazy. It means today I do one more step further, one more step closer to, the Eibishter in my tzedakah, in how in the amount of tzedakah, or how I give tzedakah. Maybe it's giving wholeheartedly and not just, feeling uncomfortable about it. And how much Torah we study every single day. We have to say, okay, even if you have the exact same classes, give yourself over to that class. Really focus, really be in tune with what the class is doing and what the class is saying and what that means to you. So every day we need to work a drop harder, just a bit harder on our relationship to Hashem. And how much effort we put into our davening. And again, many of us in this chat are mommies, and it may not mean to add in more time in davening, but just have more kavanah in your davening. If you have more time, that's a beautiful thing. And also, one of the tricks I do with my kids is that I daven out loud. I sing the songs loud, and so they end up, instead of me having to have time that's separate from my kids, I make time together with my kids, and they end up enjoying davening with me because it's a fun experience to daven and clap and sing and get all excited. So again, it's working a little bit harder, not necessarily more time, but even if it's just thinking, today everybody's going to go daven, and you're going to have a special time to think about Shema and what does that actually mean for me? How can I push myself a drop closer, a drop more relationship? How can I have more feeling, more emotion to love the Eibishter for who He is and not just for what He does for me? And because I push myself beyond my restrictions, beyond my limitations, then Hashem gives us, and I think this is the we actually say this in our benching, which is funny. I once was speaking to somebody and they were saying, oh, benching is so boring. All we keep talking about is Yerushalayim. I was like, have you listened to benching? Like, go read the English for a minute. It is all about parnasa. Basically, the whole thing is about parnasa and giving us brachas for parnasa, and we should have we should have parnasa in a kavodic way. We shouldn't have to do things that are demeaning to ourselves to get our parnasa. So anyway, a lot of the psukim, when we talk about parnasa, actually you can go and you can find it in the benching. So too here, the Eibishter gives livelihood, gives parnasa, plentiful, open, holy, and abundant hand. He just gives, he gives. And all we have to do is push ourselves a drop closer to him, push ourselves a drop closer to have a sensitivity, a love, an appreciation for the Eibishter to such a point where he himself will give us in such a like giving, non-restrictive way. And so we have to have this realization that our parnasa comes from the Eibishter, and it comes also from the love that we shower the Eibishter with. He showers his love back to us. So let's work today and throughout all of our preparations for Pesach, and let's do it with love. Let's do it with kindness. Let's do it with an appreciation for the Eibishter's Torah, the Eibishter's mitzvahs. You know, it's a shalom bayis thing. How actually it was last week's parsha. There was a whole beautiful discussion about it. It's like what is it about Vayikra that, you know, why is it such a big deal with the meat this way, a meat that way? We have to give up carbon like this and a carbon like that, and even like the burnt offering, so to speak, that the whole thing burns through. Like you spend all this money. I mean, it's like a few hundred dollars on a cow, or a few $100 on, you know, a goat or a sheep or whatever. You bring it to the Beis HaMikdash. Many of the karbanos you actually get to take home and you eat it. You know, carbon Pesach, for example, it gets roasted, so to speak, in the Beis HaMikdash, and then we bring it home and we share it with the entire chabura. We eat it, and we have to eat it, and we have to enjoy it. But there's a certain carbon that we burn the entire thing. What do we gain from this? You know, you really think, and it says in the pasuk, Neach v'chayach la'Hashem. It's a sweet and pleasant smell to the Eibishter. You really think Hashem cares about this type of steak or that type of steak? Oh, wow. You really seasoned it well this time, B'nai Yisrael. You know, like, really? When we come to think about it, this teaches us a very, very important lesson in our relationships. It's not about what we think the other person will gain. The Eibishter says himself, he says, you know what? I want this type of burnt offering. That's just how I want it. It doesn't have to make sense to us. It doesn't have to be the logical thing. It's what the Eibishter wants and what he asks of us. So I love Rabbi Gordon, and he was giving a funny example. He was saying, you know, let's say a wife comes to the husband and says, you know, my birthday's coming up. I would really, really, really appreciate a beautiful bouquet of flowers. And the husband goes, you know, honey, I hate to tell you this, but like a bouquet of flowers lasts tops a week. Then it starts stinking up the house. Then, you know, it gets all ugly and they fall apart. It's such a waste of money. Like, it's just such a waste of money. How about this? I'll spend even more money. I'll give more towards this gift, and I'll buy you a lawnmower. Right? So a lawnmower, really, we could use it for years. It actually makes our garden look more beautiful. It makes more sense. And the wife turns to the husband and says, do you want to buy yourself a gift? Do you want to buy me a gift? So we have to be sensitive to other people. We have to be sensitive to what the other person needs. It may not make sense to us. It may not be the most logical thing. And somebody wants to spend their money on flowers that die in a week. That's what they want. So too with the Eibishter. It does not make sense to burn the entire, you know, $500 thing and just put it out there for whatever. It doesn't make sense to us. But that's what the Eibishter wants. So too here. We have to realize that we need to give ourselves over. We need to really think and have a sensitivity and a love and an appreciation for what the Eibishter wants. Not what we want, not what we think the Eibishter wants, but the Eibishter actually wants. And when we do that, and the Eibishter gives us, it's such a sweetness, it's such a beautiful, loving relationship between husband and wife, between, you know, friend and best friend or whatever, and such a beautiful, loving relationship between us and the Eibishter. And Hashem gives us plentiful begashmias. And the beauty of it is that we don't just say, I'm a millionaire, off I run to, you know, okay, right now no one's running anywhere. Off I run to my couch and think about all the numbers that are hanging out in my bank account. But the reality is we take that parnasa, we take that beauty that Hashem has given us, that bracha that Hashem has given us, plentiful, and we re-enter it and we return it to Hashem, and we say, okay, this can be a home for Hashem, and we make a dir b'tachtonim with that parnasa. So yesterday when I was offering for people that my husband could buy matzah for them. So somebody texted me and ordered matzah and etc. And in the end, she was saying, it was really funny. She was saying, she goes, it's lachem aini, because by the time you finish paying for matzah, you don't have any, you're a poor person. So it's a funny thing, but in reality, that money was meant to be spent on that matzah. And it really, we have to turn, and we have to realize that our parnasa is given to us for us to live a life that is for the sake of Hashem, for us to live a life for the Eibishter. And that's what it's meant to be used for. And Baruch Hashem, the moment we use it, we bring it back to Hashem, and then how much more? So we gave tzedakah, or we used it for beautifying our Pesach Seder, and then Hashem is going to say, wow, you guys really pushed yourselves beyond our limitations again. I'm going to give you again plentiful, and then we're going to continue this cycle to the point where we're living with the Eibishter at every point in our lives. Even when we spend money, we're thinking about Hashem, and even when we're enjoying our Pesach Seder with the most beautiful, set table, we are living with this concept of living with Hashem. Okay. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. We're Mitzvah Hashem going to finish this Maamar. I really think we're probably going to finish it tomorrow. And then, yeah, that's really, really exciting, guys. This is really, really, really exciting. I'm pretty sure tomorrow is just the last place. So we're probably going to be able to finish it. And I'm so grateful to every single one of you for joining us every single morning. And I'll see you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Mashiach now.